welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. Hope you're all doing okay. Hope you're having a good weekend. Now, we are going to be looking at this ore redistribution phase that's been announced a couple days ago, and it has not been received well. And it has definitely not been received well. This update is going to shake up a lot of things in EVE, which is good for the game. But people don't like change, so a lot of people have been kicking off. I was actually one of them on Twitter, believe it or not, which, looking back, I think I may have overreacted at the time, as I've had time to do my research and look into it and speak to a few people and whatnot. So, first of all, we're going to kick this off with looking into the update itself. So let me just bring that up on the screen now. So this is the update. This is essentially what has been announced. I won't read all this to you because you can do that yourself. We're going to be looking into each individual one of these and discussing what it means and what potential things could come of it. So first of all, this is a phase. This is a redistribution phase because they've gone through the starvation phase, which didn't reduce as much as they'd planned. So this is why they are doing this, doing a little bit more in a sense of removing minerals from people, hopefully people's hangars, which is essentially the main goal, is reducing the amount of minerals in people's inventory. So first of all, we're going to be looking into this. This is a breakdown of each part of space in the game, all available space to pilots. So high security space, which is where you start off and where you probably find where you want to go in the game. Some people stick to HiSec and do industry. Some people move to LowSec, NullSec, and even wormholes. Now, they have got here that they want HiSec to be the exclusive / main supplier of titanium, which means it's going to be Veldspar. Well, so you would think. They're also removing the acquisition of Isogen, Noxium, Zydrine, Megasite, and Morphite. Not completely, but not in a way where you can make a absolute killing off it. Same with LowSec. They're getting rid of Tritanium. Not completely. They're getting when it says excluded minerals, that doesn't mean they are completely removing them, so they are not obtainable. What that means is there is not going to be the vast amounts of these that you're used to. So you're not going to be able to go out and say, right, I'm just going to go and harvest Kernite for Mexlon and Isogen today. Or Peroxas, I'm going to go and farm Peroxas today for Noxium. So, you know, it's one of those where they're changing up the asteroid DNA, as it says just below. Now, they haven't done this since the game started. They've had a couple tweaks to the size of asteroids and how many units are in the asteroid, but they've never actually changed the makeup of an asteroid, which is pretty huge. It's an absolutely huge update. If you look into it that way, it is massive. Now, this means that if you are wanting Noxium and Isogen in good amounts, you're going to have to go to LowSec in your mining ship. So with that, you probably don't want to be taking your Orca and Hulks into LowSec, because as soon as someone finds you, you're going to die. Now, this may mean a porpoise and a couple Procurers set up with a line speed and keep an eye on local and all that sort of good stuff. Some people will be able to get this down to a T and have scouts on either gate, on the other side of either gate, so they know when someone's coming to get docked up. And then, you know, some people may be able to capitalise on this pretty decently. Others won't. Others will have to pick up the bill and buy those materials that are no longer available in HiSec. Which also moves us on to NullSec, which is going to be the exclusive supplier of Zydrine, Megasite, and Morphite. Now, what that also means is these materials, obviously not going to be accessible in HiSec, but are going to have an extra price tag on them now, because there's going to be exportation costs, the cost of paying someone to move it from NullSec to Market Hub. The cost of fuel is going to go into that. Now, I will come into in a little bit later as to why the cost of that may go up even further. than current prices of fuel. But we'll come into that in a minute. Now, excluding materials, again, titanium, noxium, some availability through SOV anomaly remains, but nothing like we are used to at the minute. Now, this directly impacts me because I live in LowSec. So I've gone round and I've done a bit of digging and this, that and the other. Now, Morphite is getting a huge reduction, a massive reduction in the variety of the different tiers of asteroids. So do you know you have like your concentrated Veldspar, your dense Veldspar, all that sort of stuff, like your golden umber, silvery umber, those are going to be reduced completely, like across the board. So you're going to have to stick with the normal standard stuff, and obviously any form of varied asteroid is going to get harvested first. What this also means is these empires are now going to have to somewhat rely on each other. So people in LowSec, if they want to continue building their capitals for these big fleet fights and to protect their SOV space, are going to probably have to import titanium via either compressed ore from mining or from refined, which probably going to be easier to, for moving purposes, probably going to be easier to get compressed. Now, this also does mean that costs of bringing that material down is also going to go up because a higher demand and also increased fuel prices. Now, wormholes, it doesn't say too much about wormholes, but we will come on to that in a second. But it looks like wormholes are not going to be the exclusive supplier of any mineral, which is about right, really, because wormholes make enough money from the sites, so they don't need to have be a supplier of any of these, because they are the only supplier of the stuff to make T3 destroyers and cruisers. So wormholes have got it all right, but it just means industry is going to be that little bit harder with no decent ore spawns. Now, the asteroid DNA, I'm not going to go into every single asteroid for you, but as you can see, a lot of them have had reductions in the amount of minerals they hold. Some have had increases, a lot have had reductions. So like Crocite has had a nice little increase to Mexilon. Also an increase on Pyrite, but it's had all the titanium removed. So's Arcanor, has had all the Arcanor removed. Spodumaine's had some titanium removed. All Pyrite, all Mexilon. It's had some Noxium added, some some Isogen, Noxium, and Zydrine added. Has that had any Megasite? No. Oh yeah, it's had Megasite added to Spodumaine as well. So Spodumaine's going to be, once again, that what used to be a staple diet for capital shipbuilders, because it had pretty much everything, as you can see. So you just farmed that mainly, and then a bit of the other ABCs. Now, what I do want to highlight is these. Racovine, Telesinite, and Buisness, whatever. You can read it. These have had a increase, quite a big increase to the titanium contents of them, but also have had other materials removed, and the Morphite is completely gone because that's not going to be available in HiSec anymore, and the Megasite has gone. These have had a reduced amount of Megasite. These have had a reduced Zydrine content. That didn't have any, and that's had the Zydrine removed. So what I can foresee is, I mean, I may be completely wrong. Some of this is based on my opinion. Some of it is based on what I've seen around HiSec. Now, I can foresee that people that fought for Edencom or didn't get involved in the Triglavian invasions will be moving into Edencom owned / run systems, because there are sites in there which have these, and they have them in quite an abundance. Whether or not the amount of asteroids is going to be reduced in further updates, don't know, but these are probably going to become the staple diet of HiSec miners because of how much titanium is in them and some other various pieces. But mainly the titanium, because titanium is now going to be HiSec's biggest export. So there's going to be lots of competition. Prices are going to go up of titanium. It's already gone up. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this. Plus, in Edencom owned systems, you get a 10% bonus to mining speed as a passive effect of Edencom running the system. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of competition over these. There's one of these next door to where I've got some structures set up, and my court mates, they go and mine this because I've got an alt corp in HiSec, and some of my mates that they go next door and harvest this until it's all gone, and the amount of money that it's worth is insane. I imagine it'll drop because of the no more fight and so on and so forth, but it's still going to hold some of its price due to the amount of titanium that's going to be in there. So this is where it starts getting a little bit spicy. HiSec, all variations of Umber and Kernite are going to be removed from HiSec. So, rip. LowSec, all variations of Veldspar, Scordite and Plague will be removed from LowSec asteroids. Rip. All quantity of variation of Peroxus and Kernite will be reduced by 75%. Rip. And the quantity of variations of Hemorphite and Hedbergite will be increased by 400%. Decent. Now, nullsec, again, a lot of reductions here. I think they've reduced this purely because Rorquals. I think this is basically because of how quickly Rorquals can clear an ore anomaly. I think they're reducing it because of that, even though they added the damn ship in. And quantity of variations of Macoxit will be reduced by 90%, which also brings me to my next point. So there's going to be less vitreous Macoxit and less magma Macoxit, which is a very, very good source of income if you're mining those exclusively in nullsec because of their high yield of morphite, which also means as there's a reduction in the high yielding ore, there's going to be a scarcity of it. So I wouldn't be surprised if the nullsec alliances, all round the game, decided, right, we're not going to export morphite anymore. We're going to keep it here. We're going to starve HiSec of it and then wait for the prices to go shooting up and then start trickling it in, which is pretty much what I'd do if I was in charge. I would starve HiSec of morphite and then eventually start trickling it in to maintain a very high price on it. Because that'll slow down T2 production, which morphite is used for in almost all things. So ore anomalies. All ore anomalies will be removed from HiSec. That's another big ripperoo. LowSec ore anomalies will be removed. Certain ore anomalies will be removed. So Gneiss and Dark Ochre in LowSec anomalies will be increased by 300%. Nice. And Crocite will be increased by 9,900. 9,900%. Where the hell did they get that figure from? So if you want Crocite, go to LowSec. Risky ship, but you know, it's going to be worth it, apparently. So this is where I said about wormholes getting hard for wormhole industry. The Veldspar, Scordite, Plague, Jaspit, Hemorphite, Hedbergite, Dark Ochre, Crocite, Macoxit and Spodumane are having all their higher tier variations removed. Unlucky. Now, Sov or anomalies, again, these are getting reduced again. Like, once again, they're getting reduced. It doesn't look like there's any Spodumane there whatsoever. So again, this is just a redistribution phase. This is step one of however many is going to be in this. Further changes are being made to other resources. So again, as it says there, clear work in progress. They have said as well on their live stream that this is not permanent. This is so they can assess to see how much minerals are going to go up by, what the stockpile on the markets is, because with a reduced stockpile and with an increased, well, if you maintain the current production and reduce the input by a ridiculous amount like they are, the stockpiles on the market are going to deplete eventually. at some point. But there is so much on there, it's ridiculous. But they're going to deplete at some point to a certain level. And that's when they deplete to a certain level, that's when CCP are going to step in and put the next phase out, which God only knows when that will be, because it's basically it's down to us. But also it's what they are trying to do is get rid of the ridiculous stockpiles that people have in their hangars, which are just sat there, which they're just sat on, which I know a few guys have got multiple billions of units of titanium and other materials sat there, just not doing anything with, just waiting. And that's what people do. When there's something like this happens, they panic buy, a bit like real life with this pandemic. Everyone panic buys everything, except it's not toilet paper, it's minerals. So, with this, people have been panic buying as the prices of all the materials have shot up. Not too much. Megasite and Zydrene, funnily enough, held the price pretty well. It's the rest of the stuff that's gone up in price. Now, again, these KSA gas sites, so your stuff for your boosters, they are going to be will be reduced. Spawn probability will be reduced. So so that's the same as the ice belts. Not exactly very clear, a little bit vague on it, but I don't know if that's going to be an increased cooldown time in between from when one site's completed to another, or if it's just going to be general spawning. So instead of it being on a set cooldown like the ice belts are on a set cooldown, whether it spawns or not in a day is a different story. That is why it moves into this. Ice sites. Probability of all ice sites will decrease. So whether that means a system that consistently has ice in it every 4 hours now has it every 6, 10, 12 hours or whatever, or it doesn't even have one that day. This is why I suspect that fuel prices, so all your isotopes and whatnot, and maybe even fuel block prices, because everything you need from an ice belt goes into fuel blocks for citadels. So I suspect that fuel blocks and isotope prices are going to go up because of that. If they don't spawn in a day, I mean, you imagine an entire day in EVE Online where no ice belts spawn. Everyone's using the fuel for fuel blocks, fuel production, moving capitals around, doing logistics. Everyone uses it. That will have a severe impact on how much is on there, which is exactly what they're trying to do. So their closing notes are they want people to go into LowSec for more destruction. They want miners to go into LowSec and get destroyed. So they've quite openly admitted they want mining ships to die. Okay. More market transactions for ores and minerals, which they can monitor. Mineral income increase, which is quite that. I mean, I'm happy for that, because how many times have you mined a certain amount of a certain ore, gone to refine it, and for some reason the ore is worth more than what's refined? So that's kind of good. Price of minerals to change, which is obviously already has done. Now, I've got which one is it? So this is a tool. I will leave a link to this tool down below. Also, Marketeer, so you can have a look at all this. I'll leave the links to them in the description for you. Now, this is my final talking point on this. So these are the prices from 2017, which is, yes, 3 years ago, nearly 4 years ago. No, it's nearly just over 3 years ago now. July, yeah. Now, look at the prices. Okay. Now look at today's prices. Megasite has actually dropped in value. Zydrene has gone up by 500 ISK a unit, nearly. Tritanium has doubled. Mexilon has gone up by 40 odd. Pyrite, not really too much of a movement, a couple of ISK a unit. Noxium has gone up 5 times what it was. Isogen hasn't really moved. Morphite again has gone up by at least by 4 times what it was back then. So the prices are changing, as you can see. They've gone up hell of a lot. Now also this is a very handy tool, because if you want to go to find out what is the most profitable ore to mine, here we are. So if you go down to here, you can set your mining amount per turret, which 1,550 is quite easy to do on a Hulk if you have decent skills with mining crystals. Also, you can get that down to 89 seconds if you have Orca boosts, and obviously you'll have 2 turrets. So then this also tells you just how much money you're going to make if you're mining a certain mineral, a certain asteroid. Now, I would like to bring your attention to Exhibit A, being Macoxit. The price surge in Macoxit, in Morphite, has made it absolutely insane to harvest. To over 200 million ISK an hour if you can harvest it consistently per ship. So yeah, if you can harvest Macoxit for a couple hours a day with 2 ships, you're sorted. You're pretty much sorted. You can do whatever you want for the rest of the day. Or if you want to keep going and just harvest it and no life it, then boom, you're sorted. But I suspect that's the low end. That's what the price we're at today. I suspect in a month or two, once the prices of all these have gone up again, and Morphite in particular will go up, because you're not going to be able to get it in HiSec anymore. It's going to be relied on imports. I've seen it in Amar for 30. Hang on, let's just have a look. So 24, 24, 26, 37 in Jita here, 37. So Jita, Dodixie 28,900, Amar 29,900. So it's not far off being 30,000 a unit. So if I change this to 30,000 a unit, watch how much you're going to make an hour. Nearly 300 mil, or 300 mil if you're mining that stuff. You're not going to mine that stuff for an hour. But nearly 300 million ISK an hour for 30,000. I suspect that'll go up to about 40,000 in a couple months. So look at that. Nearly 400 million ISK an hour if you're mining Macoxit. So there's something to consider for you. But guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. And I've been doing a lot of looking around and seeing this rip. So I've been doing a lot of looking, researching. I've been checking out some bits and bobs and having a look at some prices on here, and going through all these different prices on here to see what's going up, what's going down. And people have done a lot of panic buying. I mean, price history, look, boom, it just went up massively. I mean, even with Tritanium, come on, gear, price history, yep, lower, and boom, since the update was announced. So obviously, I'd keep an eye on resources, on how much they're going to be going up and going down, and I'd keep an eye on this. Keep every so often, update your prices, and then see what's best to mine. See what you have available to mine and what's best to mine. If you want to make maximum profit from mining. Mining seems to have taken a bit of a bump for this, but you can always work it to your own advantage. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys. I hope you found this informative, at least. And if you have found it informative, or if you've helped you in any way, shape or form, hit that like button for me, get it shared. Let's get everyone aware of what's going on and how to find all this information out. But thanks for watching, guys, and of course I will see you in the next video. You take it easy.